Welcome to another episode of Minutes with M&M. I'm Mena, this is Miss Ann, and we're very excited to have you here. So, this week, obviously you've seen the title of our video, and we are very excited to talk about the final season of Never Have I Ever by Mindy, who we love. We've actually talked about the show before, where we talked about Ben versus Paxton. Watch it above if you're interested. And we were on opposite sides, so congratulations, Miss Ann. Your man won. I knew it was gonna happen, but it still hurts, you know?
Enemies to lovers, let's go.
No, let's talk about that first. I think that's the biggest thing for the show. Like, obviously, they're teenage girls and it's not a whole thing, but like, who is she gonna choose? I think it was disrespectful that they even brought Paxton back. What was the reason? Because it's fine. You want her to be with Ben, let her be with Ben. Why even pretend?
I don't think they brought him back as an option. Maybe Mindy just likes him, to be honest.
I really, really like Paxton's character as a person, and I hated that they brought him back this season because it just felt like, it felt like such a downgrade for him. And I know that it was supposed to end like uplifting, like, oh, now he knows he wants to be a teacher and he's dating someone and whatever, but like, I feel like he already had the uplifting season ending last season. He went to college and he was going to figure out what he needed to do. Coming back to be an assistant coach, very lame.
Maybe they wanted a storyline where it was like, college isn't always for everyone, and sometimes it just takes a while to figure it out. I guess it's just because I don't know. I know Paxton's not always been the brightest out of the bunch, but it really felt like it kind of, maybe I'm just so far removed from what it was like to be, or what the experience is like for 18-year-olds who've lived in the same place their whole life that have moved somewhere else. Like, people are a little bit like, I don't know what Paxton expected, because the reason that made him leave college was nothing to me.
Yeah.
You could have switched rooms, gotten different roommates. You can live off campus, because the important thing is, yes, I know you need friends and a relationship and all, but it's 2023. You can pick up the phone and talk to, what is his name?
Oh, the boyfriend? I'm sorry, the best friend?
Yeah.
Oh, Weed Boy? I'm so sorry, his name.
Yeah, you can talk to Weed Boy like you're already doing. You can talk to Devi, who has said, let's keep in touch. You can
Trent!
Yeah, and then there's probably a swimming club. Like, there's other ways to make friends.
Yeah.
Your roommate not thinking you are cool is not enough to just panic. Like, I know that he was so cool in high school, but it was really given I peaked in high school.
Oh,
and it really made me feel like it was a bit reductive to his storyline, because like Paxton already went through all that while dating Devi, where it was like, okay, I'm dating this girl that's not cool, but like I have to be cool with it, and it's not all that that's not all that matters, being cool or being with a cool person. And he has already gone through all that growth, and it just sucked, I guess, to see him come back.
It was just very depressing, and also like you said, it just didn't really seem kind of like something that Paxton would care about so much. Like, I know going to college is hard, but Paxton never seemed to care that he was cool enough that not being cool would be enough for him to drop something that he worked really hard to get. He put in a lot of effort to get into college, period. He thought he was getting the scholarship. It's whatever. Basically, just everything involved with his return to me just made me really sad. And I didn't enjoy them pairing him off with the teacher at the end, because first of all, okay, so she went to college and finished. So she's 23, 24, and he's 19. And even if the age thing doesn't ick you out, it icks me out. It's the fact that when she was being friends with him at Davy's grandma's wedding, and she's like, oh, don't call me Miss anymore, just call me by my name. We're all friends and equals. How do you feel about the fact that your boyfriend's most serious ex-girlfriend was just your student? It was just even everything about Paxton being a teacher was off to me. The fact that they would hire him with no experience or no certification, and I know he can swim, but it's just weird. Even the teacher walking in on him kissing Davy, where he's like, if I'd worked in 5 minutes earlier, I would have had to fire you, but I know you were here less than a year ago, and I know she was your girlfriend. Would you really fire him because he was kissing his ex-girlfriend? If he and Davy hadn't broken up, would you have not hired him? I don't know. Everything about bringing him back was just, I think they did a good job expressing how difficult university would be with Davy's mentor that went to school and burned out, and that was enough for me. I didn't need a whole season of Paxton having a crisis of.
I think they just brought Paxton back to appease Paxton fans. I know that they're very hardcore. The whole Ben versus Paxton thing was big, and they wanted to just bring him there because to be honest, they did do a good job in giving him a solid storyline that was his. He still had his one episode with Gigi Hadid, and I enjoyed seeing him. It was just I wish he didn't have to go through that. Like, I wish he just went to college and was like, this is it. This is the end of my own character, like, arc, and I'm in college now. And maybe I would have even preferred for his sins to just be in college, him going through something, and maybe calling Devi every now and then, or like, you know, things like that. But to come to have him be this whole, I rule this school, and I'm like,
this is like, very embarrassing.
Like, it's very maybe they wanted him to try to grow up a little bit more and just be like, you know what, like, you can't, just because you got a job here doesn't mean you're still cool with the kids, and you need to draw boundaries and like be an adult and figure your shit out. And that's fair, he could have all done that in college. Like,
I don't know, I feel like your suggestion of having him be in a different place and calling and Skyping or whatever, coming to visit on holidays would have worked better. Or, you know, they could have just sent him to school in a university or a college that's like in their city. So if they run into him at the froyo shop, it makes sense because he goes to school 5 minutes away. I didn't like the regression. Like, it's whatever, it is what it is. People
stumble in life.
I guess they do, but I just didn't love it. I feel like he had already stumbled so much, but it's whatever. I'm a Paxton fan. I guess it was quote unquote nice to see him, but it was also like, so you and Dave were just like friends now? Like, he spent most of last season pining over her and kind of like wanting to get back with her, and then it didn't happen. Even at his graduation, he was kind of sad that like him and David weren't having a thing anymore, and I guess that was just over. They're just friends now. Look, Paxton was the better man, but whatever. She's with Ben. Congrats. Ooh, Ben V. So let's talk about Ben. Are you in your heart happy with how things played out?
I am really, really happy with it. There was growth on both ends, and it was so rewarding to see. Like, it was like, so Devi can actually admit that, hey, I have feelings for you and I want more, and actually accept that it can be what she wants and like move on. I really enjoyed watching Devi, and Ben's storyline was different in his own way, but to be honest, I'm a bit sad that he still didn't have friends and he had to go and bug, what's the name of that guy?
Trent?
Yeah. Wait, not Trent. The basketballer.
Oh, Lamau.
Dwight, or like...
I don't watch sports, guys. I don't know.
We're going to put the person on the screen, but like, he didn't still have friends. And I think that, I guess Ben was just figuring out like what really is important to him in a relationship, because like, we did complain about this in the last video of him just dating bubbleheads for no reason. And I love that he was dating someone who was, I mean, the bar is low, but like, I didn't hate Margot. I liked her, and I feel like,
I don't know, I really liked Aneesa, and I actually disliked that she was basically sidelined this entire season. Like, she was like, and there were places to have her. Okay, fine, she and Ben broke up, but like, she almost had a thing with Fabiola, and then that's just dead. So she's like a hanger-on on their group now.
Yeah, like, they just decided to not make her even part of the storyline anymore. But yeah, I would say that the growth this season in Devi was so amazing to watch, and I'm so sorry. Like, I don't think she was at fault for
everything with Margot, right?
Yes, because it's like, I have this trip that I cannot go for anymore, and you're not doing a great job at convincing me of that you're not the one who did it. Like, yes, you said you went for this class, but you didn't go for the class, and now it's like, oh, Devi's just so obsessed, she keeps meddling, like.
But she didn't. I honestly, the first 2 episodes of this season kind of upset me. I feel like everyone was ridiculously harsh towards Devi in a way that was really unkind. Yeah. Like, even when like she comes home with the car and her mom was like, well, were you being a bitch? And it's like, someone vandalized my car. It's not funny. I obviously didn't do anything to deserve this, especially because the whole thing with Margot began because Devi was talking to Ben. Like, and yes, she was being inappropriate, but Margot's stepping and saying, oh, you're yelling at my boyfriend. It's actually none of your business.
It's none of your business.
Like, I'm talking to someone. You've inserted yourself into it. You've threatened me. Now we're in trouble at the principal. Something's happened to my car, and I'm the bad guy because I think it was you because you threatened me and you lied. And then when I try and tell the principal who actually was, by the way, the principal was saying, oh, I know Devi's so hard. Like, it's, someone actually did something to me. It really bugs me because when she's like, okay, I want to tell you who actually did, like, oh, we don't care. A crime was committed. Like, an actual criminal thing happened.
Based on Devi's track record in the school, like, I can't blame people like her mom saying, what did you do? Like, how many times has the mom had to come to the principal's office to settle some dispute? Like, I get it, and I think they just needed Devi to prove that she had grown a lot more. From the principal's point of view, it was like, the principal, it doesn't matter how many times this happens, you need to treat it with the same amount of urgency. But with the mom, it's like, I know my daughter. Were you?
I think it was bugging me because of how big it was. What happened was, if it was something like smaller, but it was like actually a crime, one, and outside of that, like the financial cost of repairing that damage was so high that I'm just like, everybody's taking this really lightly and then punishing Devi. Like, so now Devi, like, she was able to go for her trip, which is great, and she figured out a solution, but it was just like, someone vandalized my car, and now I've worked all summer for a trip that's not even like a fun trip. It's because I want to go to college and I'm being punished. And like everybody's acting like I somehow deserve this because sometimes I'm a bit hysterical, but like, I don't know, it really bugged me, especially because then Ben gets so mad at her. But Ben, you also thought Margot did it. Like, I don't know. It kind of just put me off Ben, because you know, when he starts texting her at the end of the season and she's like, oh, he hasn't texted me in almost a year, I'm like, this is your end game? The boy who got so mad at you that he wasn't willing to have a relationship with you, even when his girlfriend.
When did he not text her for over a year?
Oh, for almost a year.
When?
Throughout the whole season. First he was like, oh, I can't talk to you because Margot told me not to, even though Margot didn't tell him not to talk to her. Then him and Margot broke up, and him and Devi started like hate talking to each other, but they still weren't interacting. So the first time he texts her like, hey, you up? And then her voiceover goes, oh, it's a big deal when a guy who hasn't been talking to you for a year reaches out. I'm just like, really? Even after you and Margot broke up? Like, especially because everything was his fault. This is my issue with Ben. They have sex. He speaks up first and says, so yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep. Should I call you an Uber? And so then she leaves because clearly you want me to leave with the words that came out of your mouth. And then the next day she reaches out to him first. And then, you know, he talks to basketball and he's like, no, never mind, huh? And then he ghosts her and dates someone else. And he still somehow acts throughout the whole year like he's the one who was hurt until the end where he's like, oh, it was me or whatever. But it's like, Devi actually did nothing to Ben this entire season. I know they both grew in different ways, but in terms of the relationship, it really bugged me that Devi still felt like she had to prove to Ben that, like,
I don't know. I feel like it has always been clear, like, how Ben felt, and in season 1 he did tell her in the room, and he tried to kiss her, and like even towards the end when he drove her to spread her dad's ashes and they kissed, and she decided to date Paxton and 2-time them, and then she followed Paxton, and then she had the thing with Paxton. Like, feel like there had been multiple times when Ben was very hurt, and it took a while for David to actually seriously apologize or even like consider his feelings. So I don't really blame him for being like, hey, like, I'm confused about this, and I really think that we are both competitive and we can't really date each other. Because if you think about it, first of all, I feel like we are okay with Devi doing her own thing and like making her mistakes and being all that, but like Ben is also somebody who's heavily neglected, and he doesn't have any friends, and his parents have not been around, and the only person he could even talk to about this whole thing was a random basketballer who was just like, what is going on? So I think even the way everything started, like he gave her like this one free Boeing card, and like she shows up randomly and he's like, oh, okay. And then after the whole thing, it's like, this is new for both of them, right? It was both their first times. Mm-hmm. And as much as, yes, he did say, oh, like, should I call you an Uber? It's like, there was so much silence. Like, should they have just been staring at each other for that long? Like, I think he was uneasy with the awkwardness, and he just said something, and then she said something, and like, I don't want to say that, oh, then he did this, then he ghosted her, because I think it was just a miscommunication on both of them's ends, and they are very young, and it was like their first time dealing with something like this, where he literally went up to the basketball and was like, bro, like, this is for the first time I actually really care about her, like, so this is serious. And I don't know, for some reason he really believed that he needs to cool off, and like her hey full stop meant something, and like he was okay. Didn't feel uneasy about it. I just felt like it was very much a miscommunication.
So I don't have an issue with miscommunication or the fact that they're young, because, you know, they're babies, they've never had sex for the first time, he's been in love with her, whatever. My issue is like the fact that Ben is allowed to be a mess, and so is Devi, but a lot of Ben's stuff is like self-imposed. Because when you're like, oh, he has no friends, okay, but why does he have no friends? Like, even Devi, that was a loser, found her people to be around. Like, Ben belittles people and thinks he's better than them and treats them a type of way, and then he's like, oh, no one wants to be my friend. And like, he tries to, like, in season 1, you know, get people to hang out with him with his wealth, which he has tons of, by the way. Like, he's in a very privileged position, and it sucks that he doesn't know how to make friends, which, you know, it's one of those things in TV shows where, like, it sucks for him to make friends, but as we're watching it, we enjoy him. So it's like, obviously people would actually want to be his friend, but let's pretend, you know, he can't make friends, even though last season he was playing hacky sack with the cool boys or whatever. It's just, he seems smarter than Devi in terms of like social behavior, but the results of his actions don't actually show that. Somehow Devi does like horrible things and people still want to be around her. But Ben like seems smart, but then does the opposite of what he knows that he should do.
Yeah, but like, why is Davy's one okay and Ben's not okay? Like, obviously we don't have a show surrounding Ben, and like we can say, oh yeah, Davy found her people, but she's the main character of the show, and they made her have these two friends. And to be honest, like a lot of the times, the advice they be giving her, the way like it's just, I think it's mostly vibes. I think it's just like, oh, we're friends. How we became friends, we don't know, but we're here, we're friends. Like, okay, and so to me, it's like, I get what you're saying, that Ben seems smart, but like, because we're not seeing all his struggles the way we're seeing Davy every single episode, it's easy to say, hey, I don't know why you're the way you are. And I feel like a lot of the times I noticed that throughout this season and even last season, like he had been growing away from like that, oh, I'm looking down on people, and he had started to treat Davy really, really nicely. Of like, he even stopped most of the banter, and like, that to me is growth on his end, because he's just like, okay, well, I guess we can just be friends. I accept I like this babe, and she may not like me, but I still enjoy her company anyways. So if she comes to me and I know how things important this and is to her, like I will give her good advice. And so that's why I'm like very much like, I don't know, I don't see what he did wrong, because like, yes, he said he doesn't want to talk to her, but like Davy makes silly mistakes like that, where she feels like, oh, I have to do this thing because this is the only way to move on from this, and it's fine. But like, when Ben does it, it's like,
but it's like, why was he mad at her? What was he punishing her for this season?
What?
Like the whole like, oh, I don't want to talk to Davy, which is fine. And like, she didn't even push, you know, she still gave him a shirt when he needed his interview. Like, she was just like, you know what, you don't want to be friends with me, you don't want to be friends with me, whatever. But like, it's like, what do you think you're doing here, I guess? My
No, but like, I think what kept happening is that he was like, hey, I'm trying to move on and focus on this relationship with Margot, and she says that she didn't do it, and like Davy kept trying to get him to be like, but do you believe that? And like, he's like, she's my girlfriend, like I have to support her, like I have to make her feel comfortable and like all of that stuff, so like let's just drop it. But every time it kept coming up, and like, yes, Davy would always try, like I believe that she was fully right in that situation, but just based on her track record, you can just, she's the kind of person that would say, I'm going to sabotage this thing because I don't like it. So Ben was just like, okay, like I just don't know, like let's just make things peaceful. And I think it got to a point where he decided that it was easier to be upset at her, so that he refuses to talk to her. But I don't think he was ever really upset. I think what started to upset him is that after telling Davy that this is it, she kept still trying to talk to him, and he was just like, please make it easy now, like don't be doing, and let's partner up now, like now I'm awkward, you know, like,
but the teacher partnered us up, so what should we do?
Yes, but like even before that, she kept saying hi, like I get it, but like that, I think that was his frustration of, oh my god, like I've really said, my girlfriend said I shouldn't do this, so is that not, you know when you say like my husband said I shouldn't, or you know, when that's the excuse you're giving yourself. But like, I think that yes, it sucked, but I'm not looking at it like, oh, well, why are you like this? You're very somehow, because like they're teenagers, and he has to focus on his own girlfriend.
They are teenagers, and I don't even think he's somehow. It's just, to me, reaffirmed why I was Team Paxton versus Team Ben. It's just like, ugh, you guys are just too much. Like, I just appreciate, ironically, Paxton's maturity in general, because he's only like a year older than them, right? So it's not like he's a 20-year-old who has all this wisdom. But like, they both
think Paxton was mature
when interacting with others. Yeah, his own personal stuff he would have to deal with, but like how he deals, like talk to Trent, how he talk to Davy, like the way he was externally towards them, to me was mature. And he's pretty level-headed. And yeah, I think that's important to me, because like both Ben and Davy just being flying off the handle for no reason, based on no evidence. And Paxton was very much more like, even especially last season. But
when did Ben fly off the handle for no reason?
Not this season, but in previous seasons, like the way they would escalate things was just like when they, prior to them being friendly at the Model UN trip, it was, was it after? It had to be before Model UN. When he would just respond to Davy's behavior by one-upping.
So I feel like that, like Ben and Davy's relationship has always been very competitive, and Ben mentioned it this season. Like ever since kindergarten, it has always been like okay, we're both smart, so like I'm one-upping you this time, or this is my club, don't stay out of this club. And I don't think it was ever like somebody blowing up on somebody. And yes, even when like Davy blows up, but I'm just saying that like a lot of relationships that are like that in terms of like it's very banter, I'm gonna roast you. Every now and then somebody's always gonna cross the line. That's just human behavior. And like I feel like whenever Ben crossed the line, or even Davy, like yes, it took some time, but like last they'll come and apologize. Like I didn't mean to call you that. Like that's silly. But I feel like that's not a reason for me to now say that I would prefer Paxton over like Ben, because they have a longer relationship of like really knowing each other. And I think I'm very sentimental, so like all those years of them like actually going back and forth, I remember Davy or one of them actually said that it was actually pushing them to do well and to be better, and like it was fun. And like I mean, to be honest, Ben didn't have any friends, so he's probably excited. He's like, yes, I got A+, so I'm gonna come to school today and tell Davy like I got A+, what did you get? And I think that has always been their thing till they realized, oh shit, like we actually have feelings for each other now. And it became so awkward, especially because of the kind of relationship they had, where it was always like oh, look at your thing, blah blah blah. Now you people want to be nice and mushy. It's like, excuse me, like we can't be here. And I think what I really appreciated this season was that like there were very few moments where I was upset at Davy. In fact, like like Davy this season, like she was very mature, and like she literally went up to Ben and she was like, hey, like sorry about all of that, but your girlfriend was coming at me. Either ways, like let's talk about what happened. I feel like he didn't text me. And then he was like, oh my god, I also felt like, you know, maybe you didn't want to. I was like, no. And the fact that she was like, hey, I feel like this could be something more, I was like, I could for me, because I was like, first of all, as somebody who's a hard babe, like it's really hard for me to say things like this. So I know how hard it was for David to actually say that, hey, I do have feelings for you. It was important to me as well. And Ben being like, yeah, it was also important to me because it was also my first time. And basically David saying that, hey, like I'm actually ready to take this seriously. And it was interesting because I didn't expect what Ben said to come out of his mouth. At that moment, I thought he would just be like, let me just go and break up with Margot. But he was now doing, we're too toxic for each other, we are competitive. And that's what got us in this moment of being in love with each other. Did it not? So we want to stop it now. And then we'll now be bored in the relationship. So he was like, we're too competitive. And like, I expected David to like kind of blow up over it. But like, the fact that she was just like, all right. I was like, what? Like, I'm sorry. I was like, I had to pause. I was like, so you're fine. And she was actually trying to move on. Like, if Margot wasn't acting out, like, she was actually going to just move on. And like, that's what made me, I think that was my favorite part. Like, regardless of the fact that she ended up with Ben, which I love, like, I just really loved watching David do things in situations where I'm just like, you of maybe a year or so ago would have not even taken this like this. And watching her support her mom, dating again, like it was just amazing to watch. Like, the growth.
Her growth is incredible. I'm so happy, like in so many areas, especially like even the Fabiola area, because I was kind of on her side of being annoyed, where it's like, obviously I don't own Princeton, but like you should have told me. Like I asked you straight up, and like you see me crying, you know you got it. Also, like, you don't want it. And I think that's like an important factor as well. It's because it's one thing if Fabiola had secretly always wanted to go to Princeton and she was keeping it, you know, down to make Davy happy. But it's like, you don't want it and you didn't even go to Princeton, which is fine. But like, you know, could have told me.
A lot of what was happening this season with like Davy's close friends and family is that they were still treating her like she was old Davy. And like, honestly, old Davy would make a big deal out of things. So, and old Davy was also a shitty friend. She always thought like her own drama was like the biggest thing in the room. And with someone like Fabiola, she was just like, she was just waiting for the blow up to come. And she was like, if I can just postpone it, I'm like, maybe they will reject me. And you know, when they accepted, it was just even worse. So I think you're right. Like Fabiola should have told Davy, but I also don't blame her for doing that, because she's doing that based on the friendship that she knew for years.
That actually brings me to a point, and I like how they touched it, like Nalini touched on it a little bit. Davy is crazy, Crazy.
Crazy-Devi.
But her craziness is also like the last 2 years were grief, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone kind of talks like she got more extreme after her dad's death, and I also get, oh my god, I'm in my 20s and I don't know what I would do. I can't even imagine being a teenager. My legs stopped working and I have to. Oh my god, Devi. When her therapist was saying you gross, I was crying. I'm like, it was so emotional. But yeah, so the behavior that she exhibited in her sophomore and junior year were unhinged, but a lot of it was just like grief. And I know in the first season they made it very, very clear at the end where she's just like crying over Mohan, and it's just like all this stuff that's built up. And I know obviously people externally can't tell that like you're past the worst part of grieving, but it's interesting how much people in her life were expecting her to do the worst, and her mom says then, oh, we're finally getting out of that dark place. And I can't imagine how frustrating it was for Devi, where it's like, yes, I know I've had a parent or behavior over the last couple of years that kind of sucked, but also like I don't even want to have to explain that I'm doing better now. I want you guys to be able to see it. And like, if you guys don't give me a chance to be better, how will you know that I've gotten better? And I'm not blaming Fabiola, because I also get it. Like, there was a good chance Devi would just slap you in the face. And like, everybody would be like, yeah, that's what Devi does.
Yeah, it's like, that's the thing about grief. It's some people never get out of it. Some people never get out of it. And it's like, okay, I've already given you benefit of the doubt over and over again for years. So it's really hard for me to just be like, you look kind of different today. It's like the grief has left your body. Like, it's not. So I get the mom saying like, oh, like, were you being a bitch? Or like, you know, things like that. And I get her friends saying like, okay, let me just not tell Devi this thing because it's her thing. But it was sad to watch. I was like, give her a chance. I can see it. Like, please.
I think it really bugged me because, like, babe, all you have to do was tell her that your mom is making you do this. And also, like, you didn't even have to apply for early admission. You could have just done I don't know. It's fine. It's whatever. You didn't want to go. You didn't go. It's all good. I did enjoy that Fabiola also had additional story in, like, talking about the robotics club and making it less toxic. I really love that. I also like that, like, I know that we've always known that they're all smart, but this season they were really like, do you know Fabiola is a genius? Like, do you know that she made artificial intelligence in her robot, and like other schools are seeing her and seeing how great she is? Because I feel out of the three of them, she's the one that's never really had story. Like, I know in the first season it's like, oh, she was gay and like coming out to her parents and all, and she's had a couple of love interests. But let's be clear, don't add anything to the story. I'm sorry, Addison.
I don't know her babe's name.
Addison.
Oh, okay.
And her ex, Eve, just nothing, just bleh. I'm so sorry. The writers didn't give her a ton. So I was glad that she had something this season, because it feels like the other two get more.
Yeah. Also, what I like this season is like, it wasn't just, hey, look, Devi is different. Like, Devi's still fucked up. Like, when she was like, oh, that lady's Indian, I'm going to go to the front of the line. I was like, okay, so I know you've grown, but this is definitely a Devi thing to do. So I understand having like moments of like growth isn't linear, and like there's still moments of your old personality like popping through.
But it's also like, this is what I hate, where it's like, maybe I just don't know anybody like that in real life. How could you possibly think that this would be a good idea, Devi? Like, you've pushed into the line. She told you to leave. You continued. It's fine. It worked out fine. They had a good relationship. But when I was watching that, I wanted to scream from shame. That being said, okay, I know that Ethan was a bad boy, but he was very cute. And I just want to shout out to the casting directors for casting a hot boy that is age appropriate, because despite the fact that I am Team Paxton, that is a 35-year-old man. So thank you for Ethan. You didn't think he was cute?
He was alright. Like, okay then. Like, I don't, it's just like, just because you have a skateboard, now your hair has to be curly and wavy. Like, why can't you have Ben's haircut and skating?
No.
Why?
Because he's a hot, cool boy who just does what he wants.
It's like, oh, I sprayed your car. Like, what the fuck?
I'm so grateful that like their breakup was amicable enough. I was so scared that he was going to do something to her because he kept getting revenge on people. But he was hot. I'm glad that Devi had fun sex, because whatever she did with Ben that first episode clearly was not up to par. So thank you, Ethan, for coming through for my girl. Good for you.
Eleanor this season was interesting.
That's a kind way to put it. I don't love what was done, but to be fair, you know that I'm not really a supporter of people going into the arts.
But you love the arts.
I love the arts, but like the idea that this 18-year-old is just like, yeah, I'm gonna be an actor now. Like, I'm glad that she decided to take some directing courses, but especially after who her mom was, it was just like, what?
I just don't know what's stopping you from actually going to drama school. You can study drama at any university you want to. Why does it have to be?
if the best school in the world is saying you're not good enough, maybe that means you should look into a different career path.
No.
Juilliard said you're not a fit here.
I'm sorry, you can't go straight for Juilliard and then say, I'm sorry, no. Like, it's not everybody that's going to be Meryl Streep. But we still have people acting NCIS, Law and Order, like the victim. You can still do something.
You went too far. The judge said you can be Flo from Progressive. He said you can be an ads babe.
Okay, that's fine, but like, if she truly has talent.
Does she?
You know what? I'm an immigrant. Like, just get your degree. Like, just get your degree. No, because like, it wouldn't hurt.
Honestly, it was, I don't know. And the thing is, I really liked her and Trent last season, even though I think Trent is an idiot, and I don't like that he's an idiot. I just hate it. Dumb characters aren't funny to me. But I did like that they have a connection or whatever. But like, them being broken up for the entire school year, only for her to then come back and be like, oh, yay, like, I just didn't understand what any of that was.
Yeah, what actually happened there? So like, is Trent...
I guess he graduated.
But what's he doing?
He's doing something, stuntsman. I don't know. I guess they're doing films together. I guess Eleanor and Trent are in the industry.
But like, I actually thought that when she met her mom, that scene was so important, and she saw the desperation in her mom's eyes, and I thought she was just gonna be like, okay, well, this dream was my mom's dream. I'm gonna figure out my own thing. And she's like, the background voice was like, oh, at that moment, but it's like, what changed?
I mean, she decided to get classes and maybe be a director and said, I don't know. I that's my answer. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I have for you. I'm not really sure what I was supposed to take away from Eleanor's story this season. Because she graduated school early so she could be an actress, but then...
What's the rush?
Like, literally, zero idea what's going on there. Talking about school being over, or like the final year, can we talk about how insane it is that Devi got rejected from every school and then waitlisted from one? Like, American schools, like university, like the whole thing makes no sense to me. And like, obviously, the people who should get into school aren't only the people who have great grades, but it's insane to see someone killing themselves and doing everything right and then getting rejected. Obviously, she should apply to safety schools. That was kind of on her. She probably would have gotten into her safety schools, but it's still just...
Yeah, and the idea that I have to talk about this thing that I said I don't want to talk about, I have to say that, oh, I've been through trauma for you to say, okay, you deserve to be in this school. Like, what the heck is that? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But then again, it's like...
No, though.
When you hear, like, the speech that Ben was going to give the person, it's like, I'm wondering what kind of letter or essay Devi actually wrote. Like, it may have actually been really bad.
Like, maybe, but like, is it just... At the end of the day, these are children. Like, people apply to schools, their junior year. Like, these are 16, 17, maybe 18-year-olds. And you're saying, you know, I'm a 35-year-old college admissions officer. Touch me with this story in such a way that I'm going to say you should go to school. And it's like, I think I honestly prefer like the British system of getting into university, because
what's the system?
Like you like apply to a set number of schools like in your area with the like website or whatever, but it's less like beggy, and you can also like only get into a certain number of things and then pick the one you want. Because like what I was thinking when they kept saying to go to clean sweep is that there are probably like 100 students in the US that were super amazing who applied to like 10 schools and got into all 10 schools. So all 10 schools have admitted all these kids, and there are obviously 9 other kids for each school that they could let in, but because of how... Anyway.
I mean, they have wait lists.
They do.
It's a whole mess.
I don't know. I just don't like the system. Like,
yeah, it's horrible.
Because now I have to bare my soul. My dad died and it ruined my life. But yay, now I'm in Princeton. Finding out that, like, Princeton was something her and Mohan... Honestly, everything with Devi and her mom and her dad, but Mohan... I just start crying. Whenever they talk about him, whenever there are flashbacks, when she went into pack and she yelled that you're not even here, I just wanted to die. Oh my God. I just know. I think we talked about grief already a little bit, but I just think it's just so powerful, showing like how everything is just tinged by the fact that her dad died. And I love like the first line of her essay, or the first part of her essay, just like, to know me, you need to know him. And it's just like, it's just so sad.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I'm so glad that Nalini was able to move on, even though I don't love that it's with Margot's dad. Not because her dad seemed great. It's just like, so if you guys end up together, this is Devi's stepsister. Choices. You guys have shared tennis.
Exactly. But yeah, let her be happy. The cousin.
Again, see, that's what I mean. A storyline that didn't go really anywhere. Like,
she moved to Baltimore with
Manish.
Yeah, that's it.
Who was in a 5-second clip the whole season, by the way. Shout out to actors who have other things going on, and they said, I will do what I can when I can. But like, it just felt like her whole season was stalking Patty's man, Len, and like, she got an offer. I
think it was her refusing to let go, and she had been really taking care of this family and gotten attached to them, blah blah blah.
It's like Paxton. It feels like repetitive because last season she moved out. Her whole thing was like, you know what, I don't need, like, I love you guys, but I want to be independent, so I'm moving out of the house. So like now this season is her treading water for 9 episodes and then going, okay, I am moving to Baltimore. It's
and then like, I'm sorry, Patty just being like, hey, I'm rich. So when we were struggling, you didn't think?
Well, I mean, they were never really struggling. She's a doctor, like the I have to say Vishwa Kumar, Dr. Vishwa Kumar. Like, okay, Nalini's a doctor.
We should be on Ben's level at this point. Like, we should be like, I'm living in a mansion. We're going to like floor seats. Like, you know, that's the vibe. Like, yeah, at the end of
at the end of your life,
you are.
No, explain yourself. There's not a lot of life left.
Yes. And at this point is when you should be spoiling your children, your grandchildren.
That being said, I love Patty and Nalini's relationship because I stay forgetting that that's her mother-in-law, not her actual mother. I'm just like, yeah, you're with your mom, and it's like, no, this is your mother-in-law. And I love how close they are because her and Mohan moved to US like 20 years ago, so it wasn't like she had been seeing Nalini every single day, but like when they're together, they have a good rapport, they get along. Like, she can be annoying and controlling, but they have a good relationship. And especially when we saw in season 1 that Nalini didn't really have friends, I was so glad. I'm just so happy to see their relationship. Like, even going to their wedding, it's like, I'm going to my mother-in-law's wedding and I'm a big part of it, and we're her family, and I loved it so much.
Devi doing the dance with her cousin, I was like, full circle moment of like, I'm now comfortable with my culture.
Love it.
Okay, let's move. It was really, really just nice to watch. Just like, I love Devi's relationship with her mom. She just kept like caring so much and wondering like, what's my mom gonna do when I leave? And like, I just really like that because she now understands that we are both in this grief together. You lost your soulmate and I lost my dad. Like, before I was just like, oh no, I lost my dad alone. Like, I don't like you. You're fighting with me all the time. But now it's like, I want my mom to find someone so bad that she had to swallow her pride and beg this babe to be her friend and like come to dinner. So I really love that.
I super, super, super loved a lot of everything with like Devi this season. Even when she lied about like getting into every school, the person I blame here is Nalini, because why'd you call everybody on the phone? But I don't blame her for lying, especially when later on Nalini gives that speech and talks about how hard it was to come. Like, as an immigrant, bruh, I cannot even, because like they went through so much, like outside of like not having friends, like repeating like oh my god, imagine repeating like your residency to be a doctor, and like, you know, they tried to have more kids, like they had their struggles, and like now Mohan is also dead, so like at the end of the day, Devi's the evidence that coming here was worth it, and I related to that so much. And then as a child of parents, I could just relate to Devi being like, there's no way I can open my mouth and after you said that tell you, hey, I didn't get to any school, so everything was in vain,
and also I didn't apply to any safe schools.
That what am I gonna do? So I love that. I love their relationship. I feel like it's such a good depiction of like mother-daughter relationships, especially where things aren't always rosy and like they fight, but it's like at the end of the day they both love each other and want the best for each other. And Devi made me so happy. Some side characters this season I didn't love the direction that they were taking in, but Devi, I think as the main character, fantastic character development.
I'm really impressed with the way TV shows are wrapped up, but I think that they did a really, really good job with Devi as the main character. Like, I just saw the growth, and it didn't feel unnatural. It didn't feel like, where's this coming from? It was like, there was growth throughout each season. So when she did something, it didn't feel too out of character. I was like, yes, she knows better now, and it makes sense that she knows better now. So I really, really loved it.
Yeah.
You know, the huge plus is that she ended up with Ben.
Yes, she ended up with Ben.
I just feel like, as much as you're still in denial, but like their conversations and them supporting each other with their like college dreams and all that this season was just amazing to watch. Even though it was, we're friends, it was just like, I know we've been competing, but like we both know that like this is our goal for both of us. So like, it was just so, and then he flew all the way back.
I mean, like, they're cute or whatever. They had their moments, but like, okay, you flew all the way here to tell me you love me. You don't have a phone? Okay, fine.
You don't know what a romantic gesture is. And that is your problem.
I just think that maybe let's relax a little bit.
I drove her to the beach the last time. See, that's how I am. That's how I am.
Well, all I'm going to say is that the show ended, the last sentence that John McIntyre said is just like,
for now.
For now. So, Mindy, what does that mean? Is it a movie? Is it 10 years from now? I'm here for it. Especially because, not to sound like a hater, but there is no situation that if there is a continuation that it starts off with her and Ben together. I'm just saying. Maybe, like, honestly, his name is Benjamin. We know Mindy. That's her end game. She's not, like, no matter how it ends, if there's a movie, if there's another show, Davy is ending up with Ben, and I've said it from day one. But maybe we can see her do something else intermittently. Like, I'm happy that everybody got a happy ending, but I know it's a trope in a lot of shows about high schoolers. You end up with your high school boyfriend. Do you end up with your high school boyfriend? No.
Some people do, some people don't. But in this moment, I will revel in it. Okay? It's cute, and I wish them nothing but the best.
You know what? Facts. I do want them to be happy. What do y'all think? Do you think that her ending up with Ben was the right call? Should it have been Paxton? Were you happy with her growth? I don't know why you're making a face. Paxton is...
Davy strikes me as the kind of person that, like, ambition turns her on. And if Paxton is in there, means to me, I'm not going to college anymore. Do you think that relationship will be strong?
It's fine. She's with Ben.
We won! Look, enemies to lovers. It's always gonna be so sweet to me, depending on how they do it. But like, I'm always gonna support. Like, see, Damon and Eleanor, yes. Like, just give it to me. Don't be boring. Okay.
All this says to me is that now that the show's over, Mindy, you have some time on your plate. Is there a new show coming out? Is Sex Life of College Girls gonna be longer? How are you going to fill the time that you once filled with this show? Let us know, because we want to see what you're going to do next. I'm a fan of Mindy's shows. We talk about her shows, actually, so watch that video too.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. I know that some Paxton enthusiasts would be sad, but I have something to tell you. In life, you don't always get what you want. And it's growth. You have to just move on from it. And it is what it is. I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will catch you on the next one.
Bye.